And 99% of the people won't go and do that on a Lamborghini. You know, they won't go and put a digital wrap on it. Not crazy like me. I always like to keep more magnets on a vehicle than actually needed, because it actually helps you when you do pull off your backing paper. You can stick your magnet on top, which actually helps and makes your life easier when removing the backing paper or the vinyl from the backing paper itself. One other thing that's actually quite important to use is your slitty. This little thing. So it actually helps you with cutting the vinyl. This is also, getting back to it, this is plastic. This won't scratch the vehicle when you actually pull the slitty through the vinyl, through the backing paper. One thing that's important is when you do remove the backing paper, make sure that you don't throw it everywhere where people, you know, when it's on the floor. If you do that, it lies like that, you step on it, it's smooth, you will fall. I mean, you can see this thing glides like crazy, so it's not advisable to do that. When working and you won't be able to pick it up immediately, take it, slide it under the vehicle. It's there, it's out of your way, nobody can get hurt. Then from there, you take your vinyl, you actually put it on, you know, into place. Make sure that you put it up straight. Try not to make creases when putting it up, because it actually just makes your life a living hell when you get to a point where the whole thing is skew or it's full of creases. Now with this, it actually just, you know, with the bubble-free technology, it actually helps when you do put the vinyl down. You don't really need to come back, lift up the vinyl the whole time. When you do make a little bubble, you can literally just pull it out or push it out like that. There's a small little bubble, you can literally just go and push it out without really needing to go and lift up the panel. Like that. I mean, that will just literally pull out. Don't try to force it out, work with it, see how it works to actually get rid of the actual bubble. Like that. There was no lifting, no nothing. It's out. Now you can move on to your front part of it. Also, when you squeegee the material, when you go to the one side, you might see that it causes like little creases to the one side. If you keep going that specific way, you might get to a point where it actually starts making creases, and getting rid of the creases, you need to lift the material. It becomes a nightmare. But with this, you learn it, you see how it works. If it goes to the one way, you start working it from the other way. There's a little crease, but the nice thing about it, if you don't go and force the crease, you eventually get rid of it by pushing on it. So essentially, you don't want to get stuck where you need to lift up a panel, especially on a part like that. Now the middle part is basically flat down. If you really do need to lift, this part is very simple, very easy to do. There's nothing there that can actually cause it to actually go skew at the moment. Well, at all. So now you can actually just take it and squeegee it down. When you do remove the backing paper, when you do remove the vinyl, with something like this, it's easy. You can actually remove the whole backing paper, putting it down on the vehicle. It's simple, it's not bad, but it's sometimes easier just keeping it down, keeping it, you know, flat at a certain position, and then squeegeeing it out. When you do squeegee it out, make sure that when you do squeegee, your squeegee is always at an angle, because it helps. Well, not just helps, it's the way to actually work it, getting rid of all the the excess bubbles or the, getting it flat. If you don't do it like this and you just decide to go straight with it, you'll create air pockets and bubbles, which will then essentially become a problem. And you might need, you might miss some strokes. At the end of the day, getting it down like this, working it at an angle, going to the one side, always changing the directions of the squeegee. Feel what it feels like when doing that. Don't force it, just literally let it glide, let it flow the way you want it to. And with something like this, even with a bubble-free technology, you can get to a point where working it down to the bottom, there's no stress on the vinyl, there's no creases. I mean, if you look at this is absolutely smooth. You don't have any problems with anything whatsoever. So you literally just work your way down right to the bottom, and then you get to a point where your whole panel is stress-free. You don't want to go and put some unnecessary stress and tension on, especially on corners, where you need to go and heat it up, get it flat, pull it down, making sure that there's no creases. With something like this, no heat gun is needed. You literally just go down to the bottom. Now, getting to a point where you need to slice this thing or cut it off on the edge. You get people that would, especially clients, you go and you cut it on the edge. As soon as you cut it on the edge, when you have a white kind of digital wrap or a light colored digital wrap and you have a red vehicle, for argument's sakes, or you put a dark wrap over a light vehicle, you get to a point where you cut the edge, and while cutting the edge, you're actually leaving the edge pretty much exposed. Now, to avoid that and avoid the I want to say the argument with the clients, it's always nice to go in and cut the specific thing at a 45-degree angle. So you actually work it at an angle, so now you get to a point where you can remove the piece of material. You heat up the edge and you just put it flat down. Leaving your edge all covered up with none of the defects of the chip marks like you have there stuck and visible on the back door. It's always very important after you cut your vinyl off on the edges, just to make sure that the edge is down, just to heat it up and making sure that it actually stays down. I don't, as a rule, don't use edge sealant in my shop at all. If you get to a point which is very vulnerable and you think, okay fine, you know what, it's going to lift, you don't want that corner to lift or that edge to lift, but you can actually see that it's going to do something like that. I usually just use a thin little piece of, 5mm piece of lamination. Take it, put it on the edge, wrap it around, put it down, it's done. It's not going to lift up anywhere. You're not going to pull off paint, you're not going to damage the paint when removing the vinyl. You're absolutely 100% safe with something like that. Now the thing is that you mustn't do is when you're done wrapping, especially the bottom part of something like this, especially when it comes to a door like this, take this piece and rip it off, because sometimes when you put your next panel, that little piece is very important and needs to line up. You might just throw away that little piece and you've got a white block sticking out, which has got no use to it at all. So that's basically where you get to a point where your panel is basically done. Now it's time to move on to the next. So you can either choose to carry on to the back, to the front, so that doesn't really matter. The most important thing that you need to do is always to make sure that when you do pre-line up everything, that everything fits the way it's supposed to. Then you can start with your middle panel. You can work forward, backwards. One of the reasons why it's also I would say sometimes important wrapping a panel, the first panel, which is in the middle, especially when you get a big vehicle. Okay, on a truck it's a bit of a different situation, but on a vehicle like this, if you've got 3-4 people working on a vehicle, you get one person doing this, the other person can do the front, and one person can do the back door. Now when you're done with this, you can carry on to the back panel.
Yeah.
That person working on the back is finished, you've got a person working on this side, and you can get another person doing the front part of this car. So you can then jump to 2 people on one side of the vehicle. Front's done, middle panel's done, the back's done. You get to this side. Now instead of just, if you've got a 4th person wrapping the vehicle as well, or if you don't, you let him jump to the middle panel on that side. So you always have space for everybody else to work.
Okay.
You don't want to go and limit yourself by starting on the back panel. The guy can't do the back there. You've got another guy that starts the middle panel. As soon as he's done there, he moves to the back. The person still can't do the back panel because, I mean, you're running out of space to wrap.
So always better to start at the middle.
It's always better to pre-plan something. When you see a vehicle, you need to be able to see what, where, and how you're going to do that. If you're not sure, then you need to take a breather, sit down for 5 minutes, and pre-plan on what you want to do. You know, obviously, during the course of time, wrapping for a couple of years, sometimes that comes naturally. You'll start seeing things, how to wrap it, where to start, how to start, what to do further.